The recording is on. Okay, so in the previous session, we have seen, classes and objects. Okay, so in this session, we'll be seeing, actually this keyword. Okay, so let me, type in here some comments. Okay, so it will help you to understand the concepts. Okay, so in this session, you learn about Dart. Okay, this keyword. Okay, when to use this keyword. Okay, and how to use. Okay, so this actually we have learned. Class is a blueprint of objects. Okay, it's like there's a PDF file and it's a soft copy. Okay, when you take a printout, then actually that hard copy, it's copy for that soft. Okay, soft copy. Okay, so the file which is in PDF format. Okay, PDF file is called a blueprint. Okay, for the the hard copies. Okay, so you can print as many as as many as hard copies you want. Okay, but the PDF file will be only one. Okay, so for this same PDF file, you can have as many as hard copies you want. Okay, this is the example. Okay, all right. So to refer, the current object inside a class, you have a class, right? To refer that to, reference the current object. Okay, so I will explain you this inside a class. Okay, you use this one, this keyword. Okay, you use this keyword. Let me show you. Let's say you want to, if it's a class, okay, let's say point is a class, okay, or arith is a class, okay. So arith is a class, and you want to, like assign the data, okay. So we can say uh, get the data, okay. So in this one, we have x and y, okay. Now these are parameter variables, okay. These are called parameters, okay. And these are only, visible inside the scope gate. Now, in this one, we can declare, other properties also. Let's say, you know, int x is equal to 0, int y is equal to 0, okay. So So in this one, we have x and y, okay? So we want to, assign these values. So we can here assign x is equal to x. So that is wrong. Actually, the compiler doesn't know. Okay, so in this one, here we don't know which x is assigning to the objects. We don't know that if this is the object's x or this is the object's x. We don't know this is the parameter x or this is the parameter x. So basically this x is, of function get. Okay. And like who is assigning value to, what x? We don't know that. Okay. And now, to refer that, that this is the object x. So in this one, to know that this is object x, we assign this keyword. So this keyword tells that this is the objects, that is calling this get function. Okay. to know it better, you have to, create a main function in here, okay? And you should create a object in here where this is A1. A1 is arithmetic object, okay? And you're calling in here, creating an instance, and then you say A1 dot get. Okay, and you're passing here value like 5 and 7. Okay. Now you should know that get function you're calling, okay? So it is here we are calling this get function and it is called by A1 object. It is called by A1 object. Okay, and this keyword, it tells that this keyword, it is referring this A1 object inside the class. So when you say this dot x, actually you are saying that nothing but you are saying it's A1 dot x and this is A1 dot y. Okay, because this get function, it is called by A1 object. Okay, so, but, next time you can have another object, in here we can have another object, okay? And here we can say A2. Here also we can have A2. Okay, so in this one we have A2 object now, and we can say here it's a 3 and here 2, okay? So see, now this get function it is called by object A2. So here this keyword it means, okay, it is A2. So the function, it is called by the A1 object and A2 object, So here we cannot write it this way. So instead of that, we write this keyword. So every time a new object it is called, okay, it is calling this get function. Okay, a new object every time of this class, it is calling this get function. Okay, so that time this will refer to that current object. Okay, so that's why it is saying that to reference the current object inside the class, you are using this keyword. Okay, all right. So now you can have show function in here. Okay, just to show the values. Okay, so here we'll be writing a show function, and we can say print and you know here we say that this is the object arith, okay, and say we here dollar x comma dollar y. Okay. Basically, you are just printing the x and y's value, okay, of and in here what we can do, that to reference the properties of x and y inside a function, you can directly use their names as x and y, okay. See here you don't have to use this dot x, okay. You don't have to do that. Why? Because this show function, it is a member of the same class. Okay. See, this is a data. Okay. Any class. Okay. You take any class. It's a class name. Okay. Name of the class. In the class, there are two important properties are there, data and functions. Okay. So functions can access data directly. Okay. So function can access, say here data is x and y. And in function, let's say here is a show function. It can directly access this x and y. It can directly print x and y. Okay, say dollar x and dollar y. Okay, you don't have to, use this keyword in here. Okay, but let's say you want to do that, you can, you're welcome to do that. Okay, but it's totally unnecessary. Okay, you got it. So you might wonder that. Okay, let's run this code first and check the code. Okay, let me, copy this code and paste it in here below. Okay. Okay, I hope there are no spelling mistakes. So let's run this code. Okay, and I think we are not calling the functions in here. Okay, we are not calling a1 dot show. So a1 object is created. It even has values. Okay, x is 5 and 7. For A2, X, A2's X and Y, it's a 3 and 2. Okay, and now we just run it. See, here we see the A2, object has 5 and 7. Here A1, sorry, A1 object has 5 and 7. A2's object is 3 and 2. Okay, so basically show function is printing, for A1 here, X and Y, and here A2, X and Y. Okay, so now what to do? Okay, so in order to, we can make changes in here also. Okay, we can just copy this whole code and paste it one more time. Okay, but this time we'll comment this code because we don't want to make changes in the existing code which works. It will be practice for you, it will be practicing purpose. It is nice to have it as it is. So you might wonder, sir, why we should have variable, parameters same as the object's properties. Objects properties are X and Y. So why we should have the X and Y? We can take A and B also, no? In that case, we don't have to use this keyword. You're absolutely correct. Okay, if you use like A and B instead of X and Y, then you don't need to use this keyword. Okay, let's run this code and you still see the same output. See, you still get the output. Okay, so but in general practice, the objects, you use these dot x when parameters also have same name as objects x and y. Okay, objects properties. So in that case, you say this dot y is equal to here y and here x. Okay, this you should use it for general practice. All right. All right, so next important property that we are going to discuss is, let me put it back. This will be, for you to practice it. Okay, I'll just, make changes in here. All right, so let's comment this code again and let's go for the next one. So in here, what we are going to do, okay, we will use dart this keyword for function chaining. Okay, so let's do that. Function chaining. Okay, function chaining using dart this keyword. Okay, how to do that? Let's find out. So in the previous example, we can add two functions. So let's copy and paste all this. Okay, instead of you know wasting time writing the same code. Okay, so I'm going to put it in here. All this code. Okay. All right. So in here we have, it's a function chaining part we are saying in here. We have its class, we have x and y, we have get function, okay? And it will assign the values to x and y, okay? And what we do is we can have in here, a reset function. Okay, so reset function, what it will do, it will, or clear function, what it will do, it is going to clear the values of x and y. Let's say I have assigned this value object a1 5 and 7, but I don't want this 5 and 7, I want to put it 0 0. Okay, let's reset it. Okay, so you can do that. You can just say this dot x is equal to 0. Okay, and this dot y is equal to 0. You might say, can we use x is equal to 0 only and not using this? Perfectly valid. Okay, but as we are learning this keyword, let's for practicing, we use this keyword with the objects x and y. Remember, you are using this keyword only with the objects properties, okay, and not with the function parameters, because this keyword refers to the current object only. Okay, so you are referring to the objects properties. Now, what we are going to do, we want to, call these functions, like in particular order. First, we want to assign the values, then we want to show the values, and then we want to clear the values. It's like after getting the desired results, you want to clear all the data. Okay. So what we are going to do, we are going to call in three functions now. See, A1 is calling get function, you know, then A1 is calling show function, and then A1 is calling clear function. Okay. Okay, so now what we'll do, we are creating A2 object, and also it's calling get function, show function, and clear function. Now, as you can see here, we are calling functions in order: get, show, and clear. Isn't it? So it's taking a lot of space in here. For one object, it's taking 3 lines in here. For another object, it's taking 3 lines in order to call this function. You know, so what to do? We can call these functions, like this also. Okay, let's say we can. I'll just show it to you for the A2 object and keep this object same as like that. Okay, we'll just say A2 dot. Okay, first we are calling, get function, to assign the value. So let's say 3 and 2. Okay, after this, I want to call show function, right? So immediately I put a dot and just call the show function. After show function printing, doing its job, okay, then I'm going to immediately put dot and just calling the clear function. Okay, and after this, semicolon. Okay, this is perfectly valid only when, okay, that this function is returning this keyword. Okay, so that is possible. You cannot do it like this. It is going to throw us the error for now because we need to do some modifications in the functions. Okay, now what kind of modifications? Okay, that this function, see, first you are calling get function, isn't it? So this get function should return this keyword. Okay, so you're returning, this. All right. So in this one, the type of this class function, returning type of this function will be array. Okay. Now this is perfectly right. Now see, you're calling this get function, and that is returning this function. So after executing this, after executing this function gives you this keyword. So it's like you're calling this dot show, isn't it? So basically, this returning this means actually returning this means it's actually returning the current object. So what object it is returning? See, A2 is calling get function, isn't it? So this get function, it is called by A2 object. So after this function finishes its job, this function gives me A2 again. Return this means it's returning me A2 object. Okay, so here once this function finishes its job, it gives me A2 object. So it's like A2 dot show, and after then this show function, it prints, okay, the x and y properties of object. It also returns, this means A2 object is returning also A2 object. So this is also returning A2 object. So this function when you call, okay, show function is getting called by A2 object. So when this show function return this meaning it is returning A2. So basically after this, returning A2 object, it becomes like this A2 dot clear. And after this, also you can return this. Okay, so every time, every function you call, you get, you know an object. You got it? So every time you call, you are getting an object back, and that you use it, you know to call the next function. Okay, so let me just make it here clear. We just get the first, we call the values. Get function, pass in the values, 3, 2, then it returns us A2 object. With the help of that A2 object, we are calling show function. This show function also returns us A2 object. Okay, then with that A2 object, we are calling clear function. Okay, and after making these changes in here, you know, you can call these functions using like this method. This approach is also perfectly okay, and this one also you can use it. Okay, so let's run this code. Okay, but before that we need to uncomment this code. So I'm going to copy this entire thing. In better way, I will cut it and paste it in here. Okay, everything is correct, no mistakes. So just let's just run this code. So as you can see in here, I just with the old approach, okay, Just like, simply I call this get function using a1 dot get, a1 dot show, a1 dot clear. In the same ordering, I'm calling the get function, show function, and clear function for a2 object. But the approach is different. See, here you're calling all these three functions, okay, in just using one line statement. Okay, here you're using three line statement. Are you getting? All right. So in this, example, actually what we have done, we have changed the return type of all the functions. Okay. And we put it arith here. Okay. And we are returning this keyword inside these functions. Okay. And this is actually returning, actually this is returning that object. Okay. And that returns the object, and hence with that help of object, we are calling next method. Okay, and this show function also returns the object, same object, and that with that help of that object, we are calling next one. Okay, are you following? So basically, to summarize what we have done in here, this keyword always reference, in the conclusion part, we'll write, okay, in the conclusion part, that the, dart, this keyword, it refers current object. Okay, and of the current class, okay, of the same class, and it can be used, for method chaining. Okay, now you understand how we chain the methods, okay, to make code more concise. Okay, all right, so that's it, for this keyword. All right, so the next part that we are going to see, it's getter setters is there, constructors is there. So it's better, we see the constructor first, and then we can see the, getter and setter. Okay. So let's start with the constructor. Okay. So let me start in here, constructor part. Okay. So now you will be learning constructor. Okay. So let me just put it here, the constructor. Okay, let me just comment it here, because if you don't comment, it's going to give us the warning messages and all. Dart constructor. So in this, you will learn how to use the Dart constructor to create and initialize objects. So constructor job is to initialize objects of class. So it's a special method. Okay, you don't need to call the constructor manually. Okay, it's a special method for creating, initializing the objects. Okay, it is automatically called. You don't need to worry about calling it. It is automatically, okay. Okay, sorry, automatically called. Okay, when object is created. Okay, all right. So now, there are types of it. Okay, there are default constructor in there. Okay, so default constructor, if you know Java programming, any other programming languages, there is a word default constructor. It is used in there. Okay, it has the same name as the class name basically. No parameters, and returns objects. Okay, of that class. So let's create another example. Okay, so in this we will be creating a class, array. Okay, same properties will be assigning in here. Integer x equal to 0, integer y is equal to 0. Okay, and in here you are going to create a default constructor. Okay, so default constructor is not doing anything actually. See, it's doing nothing. Okay, and it's equivalent this. Okay, this class is equivalent to this class. Okay, having no constructor. Okay, so both classes are equal, meaning it's not doing anything. The constructor we have written, but it's not doing anything. Okay, and constructor is special because you're not calling it, it is called automatically. Okay,
Hello, sir.
so let's see an
Hello.
example. Let's see an
Man is
example.
joining. He miss accepted.
Okay. All right, so let's continue. We have a few minutes left. And in this one, we have to say create a main function in here, okay? And in here, we create var, p1, okay, is equal to arith. Okay. Now see in here, this arith, you don't have to call this constructor. This constructor automatically getting called. So in order to see that if it gets called automatically or not, you can just have in here print constructor was called. Okay. And you can just run this code. So let me just copy this code in here and paste it in here. Okay. And let run it. Okay. Okay. It says arithmetic is already defined. So we have to comment this code. We have to just comment in here. Okay. Everything, the code that previously written. Okay. And now run this code. So here see constructor was called. As you can see in here, we are not taking any special efforts to call this. Okay. Okay, we are not taking any extra efforts to call this function, but still it is, getting called, isn't it? Yes. And now, what we do is you can add any statement in here. General practice is that we assign values to x and y in here. Okay. See, this is how you should write it. Here we are initializing the values of the objects. You can initialize it to 10 and 20. Okay. All right, so in here, we are initializing the objects, okay, 10 and 20. But if you run this, and you want to call this show function, okay, let's just copy the show function from in here, okay. So this show function, I'm calling it from here and pasting it in here, okay. And now what you can do, okay, you can just, call this one as p1 dot show, okay. That's it. You can see that the constructor is getting called and it is also initializing the values 10 and 20. It's not initialized to x0 anymore. Okay. So that is the job of the constructor. Okay. Now let's see what is custom. Okay. Constructor. So custom means customization. Okay. Let's say in practice you need to create an object and initialize the properties at the same time. To do so, you can create custom constructors. Okay. Name of the custom constructor can be, same as the class name. Okay, custom constructor has, like a function only. So you can just create, you know, parameterized constructor. It's also called, parameterized constructor. Let me just show it to you here. Here we have no parameters in the constructors. Okay, here we are giving x and y, 10 and 20, isn't it? But here we can give it, integer a and integer b. Okay, we want to pass on values, no? So here we say a and here we say b. Now it's compulsory for you to giving values for the, constructor. So in here we give values, 5 and 2. Okay, and now we can run this. So as you can see in here that we pass on the values and it assign the values to the object. You got it? Okay, you got my point? So here we are actually creating a constructor. Okay, it's a parameterized constructor which accepts our values at the time when you create the object. Okay, so this is where we create the object. So we are passing the values to the constructor, and this constructor now gets the values from it. Okay, that's a custom constructor. Okay. Okay, so now let's see the next part. Okay, let's continue. So in this one now, you can see that constructor is getting called. We are initializing the values, okay, that we have seen. Okay. Now what we see that we need to create, the named constructor. That means what? Named constructors, it's a constructor. Okay. Named constructor, it's a constructor. It has it has a name. Okay? You can define named constructor. You add identifier to the class name. Okay, so how to define it? Let's see, it's a very easy one, guys. Okay, now in this one, you can say class name, it's a array. Okay, dot, you can just give any name in here. Okay, I just use, you know, my data. Okay, so my data is the function name I'm assigning. Okay, and in here I just say this dot x is equal to 0 and this dot y is equal to 0. So I'm calling in here one constructor which accepts no values. Okay, and if I need to create the object which actually I don't want to pass in the object. Okay, I don't want to pass in the values in here. Okay, so in that case I can just create a empty here. Okay, in this case what is happening in here, that I want to call this constructor array dot my data. Okay, so what you're doing, see one time, let me put a semicolon in here. So what is happening here? This object, P1, it is calling this constructor. Okay. How come this is calling this constructor? It's because you look at the data in here. We have our two arguments in here. So that means it's calling the constructor which accepts these two values. So we have here in two parameters. Okay, and the job of the constructor is to give this value to the objects x and y, isn't it? And now, this object, let's focus on this object, okay? Because we have new constructor in here, okay? So this is a named constructor, okay? And this is a constructor that has a name actually, see? And its name is my data, okay? So you can add, identifier to the class name. See, you have to call this constructor now. If you're creating an object, okay, you use the entire this name. Arith is the class name and name of the constructor. Okay, so arith dot my data. So this accepts literally no values. Okay, so it's a empty constructor. Okay, and in this one, it assigns value 0 to x and 0 to y. Okay, all right. So this my data constructor initializes x and y properties to 0. And to call this my data constructor, you use the this expression. You understand? And now you can call the show function. Okay. So and after this, you run this, you'll get the same output. See here after initializing this x and y properties of the P2 object, okay, it is initialized to 0. This proves that P1 calls this constructor and P2 calls this constructor. You understand? Yes, you understand. All
Yes,
right.
yes.
So here we can say that the constructors, to summarize, that to summarize this, we can say use constructors. We use constructors to create and initialize objects. Okay, so that is the constructor. Okay, so do you have any questions from the constructor?
No.
You don't have any questions? You don't have any
No, correct.
questions?
No, no, no.
Okay, you understood this entire thing, how to create
Yes.
a class and all. Okay, so let me share this code to you. Okay, so that you have clear idea of how to write it. So one by one, I will send this code to you. Okay, so let me just send it to you in room chat. Okay. 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 Just let me know that you receive the codes. Okay. This is a code where we are actually having custom constructors. Okay. And
Okay.
then we have this default constructor. Okay. We have default constructor here. And then we have this, other codes. This keyword code. Okay. I'm sending these keyword codes. And then the use of this one. Okay. Uses of this keyword. Okay. So I'm sending this all codes to you. And you have, after this, this session will end now. Okay. Like in 2 minutes. After this, you have to, share your screen. Okay. You have to rejoin the session. You have to share your screen and practice all this, you know, all these codes. Okay. And you might, you may get another example. You don't have to use a rich class. Okay. You can take any class like, okay. All right. So that's it for today's session. We have seen, this keyword and the constructor. Okay. And then in tomorrow's session, we will be seeing getter and setter and inheritance part. Okay. All right then. Uh, thank you for joining this session. Okay. See you in tomorrow's session. And let me stop this session.